is truly a day that we've been looking forward to for, so long. We thought it would never come. The club bar will actually make a profit.
That is true.
Bob Morrow, his tenure as president ran from 1998 through 2006. Together during that time, we got a lot of projects done both around the clubhouse and some big ones out on the golf course. Naturally, everything went absolutely perfectly. No arguments whatsoever. Mr. Morrow?
I have to find my speech. It's about 32 pages. There it is. Anyway, I would like to thank my good friend, Mr. RANUM, our current president, Dennis Suskind, for giving me the opportunity to express my feelings tonight about Bobby. I really came here tonight to praise Caesar, not to bury Caesar. Burying Caesar will be done after I step down a little bit later. And what I'd really like to do tonight is give you a little bit of a background of how Bobby and Allison started and how they ended up here at Atlantic Golf Club. So if you would bear with me, they told me I have 3 to 5 minutes. It might take a little bit longer, but I'll do my best to move things along. 51 years ago, Bobby and Allison in high school at 15 years of age met. And they started to go out and date, and whatever kids do at 15 in high school, I'm not going to get involved with tonight. That's not part of this discussion. But Allison's father was the green superintendent at Rockville Links and Rockville Center. Her grandfather, if you don't know, was also a green superintendent. Bobby got a job that summer working for Allison's father at Rockville Links. And at the end of the summer, he came home and he told himself, I don't know who else he would talk to, that this is my dream. I want to be a golf course green superintendent, and I am going to be the best that ever survived on Long Island. He graduates high school, enrolls in the University of Massachusetts, leaves after college, goes to work at Cherry Valley Golf Club, spends a few years there. The green superintendent, I forgot his name, I have it written here, Rick McGinnis, who's not here tonight, decides, he is here? No. Anyway, he decides he has a job offer at Woodmere Country Club in the South Fork. He decides to take it, and Bobby is offered the job as the green superintendent. At the same, before he can accept, Garden City Men's Club calls and said, we would like to talk to you also about coming to work for us. And Bobby obviously considered both of them, and he tells me that he was leaning more towards Cherry Valley when McGinnis came to me and said, are you fucking crazy? You've got to go to Garden City Men's Clubs. They're one of the best golf clubs, and they're on the verge of trying to improve their rating. They've got the Golf Digest guys coming out, and you got to do all that. So Bobby takes the job at Garden City. A couple of years go by, and Bobby's got this little fire in his belly, and as all of you know, Bobby does what he wants, when he wants, and doesn't consult anybody. At that time, Tom Poole was the Greens chairman at Garden City, and I think Gil McNally, who was the golf pro, I think, is he here tonight?
Right here.
Okay. He was there, so he can probably vouch for what I'm going to say. Anyway, RANUM decides on his own, without talking to anybody, that it's time to start doing things at Garden City. And they talked about renovations, they talked about golf ratings, they did all these different things. Unbeknownst to the Greens chairman and the board, Bobby decides on his own to renovate 2 golf holes. Everybody goes home, they come back in the spring, and there's 2 brand new golf holes in Garden City Men's Club. Well, of course, the Greens chairman goes totally berserk. They call him in front of the board, and they said, "Are you freaking crazy? How could you go ahead and build 2 holes? You have no authority, you have no money, you can't do this." He says, and knowing Bobby Renner, he's so polite, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize." He said, "I didn't realize that I couldn't do this." "What do you mean you didn't realize?" Anyway. And the board tells him, "Okay, we're going in the right direction, we like what you're doing, but I think we need a golf architect to supervise what's going on." And Bobby says, "Fine." And the club goes on a search to find a golf architect to work. In the meantime, to save Bobby's rear end, the Met golfer comes out with a magazine. A few weeks later, on the front cover is Garden City Men's Club. And what's it about? The 2 holes that he redesigned. So everybody on the board and the Greens chairman, of course, they never apologized to him, but now he was their young man and they were behind him. So now they decide to interview various golf architects. The last architect is P.B. Dye. P.B. Dye comes to Garden City, and Bobby invites him to go out to play golf with pool, and they play 18 holes, and everything is perfect, and there's all kinds of conversation. And when they get back in the clubhouse, Bobby, as usual, starts to ask us questions, and he says to P.B., like, "What do you think about the course? What do you think about the changes? What would you recommend?" And Mr. Dye says, "Well, to tell you the truth, I think we should do this and do that. I don't know the specifics, obviously I wasn't there." And this young squirt sitting over here says, "Mr. Dye, that's horrible. That's not what we have in mind for this golf course, and I don't think that's what I want to see here." Well, that was the end of P.B. Dye. But Mr. Dye says to Mr. Raynham that there's a young man that used to work for me, and he just left, and if you'd like to interview him, you can. So Bobby calls this young guy, and the young guy comes out a week or 2, I'm not sure when, and Raynham looks at him and says, "He's a 12-year-old kid. His clothes, he looks like a slob. His clothes are horrible. Who is this kid?" They go out on the golf course again. This kid doesn't say a word. They walk around looking back, forth, all over the place. And they get all done, back in the clubhouse, and Bobby says, "Do you have a jacket?" He says, "No." So Bobby gets him a jacket, but this kid is so short, the sleeves are like 6 inches too long. They start to talk, and Bobby says, "Well, what do you think?" He says, "Well, I think we should look at this, we think we should look at that, and I don't know about this." And Bobby says, "I can't believe it. That's exactly what I want. You are perfect. I want you to come to work here." They hired this young man. To make a long story short, the green superintendent who hired him, who's sitting here tonight, becomes one of the most famous and well-known green superintendents on Long Island at that time. The architect with the short arms and the little 12-inch, very short height, happens to be one of the best-known architects today in the world by the name of Tom Doak. And Doak and Raynham worked together to take Garden City Men's Club to the next level, and the Golf Digest people, of course, rated it great, and it became like 35 or 50 in the country, unimportant. Next step, Raynham hears they're going to build a new golf club out on the east end of Long Island called Atlantic Golf Course. And he decides he wants to apply at the club for the green superintendent. But nobody calls him back, so he's kind of upset. So he looks around to find, who can I call? Anyway, he calls somebody, and Lowell Schulman, who our founder, that most of you know, calls him back. He says, "Come on in for an interview." They sit down, they talk, and Lowell apparently sees that what Bobby has done, he was very pushy, he's got that burning desire to do what Lowell would want to see done. And he's, "Okay, what will it take to get you away from Garden City?" He said, "I want $68,000 a year, the same thing I'm getting at Garden City, and I want the house on the property for my wife and my family." And Lowell says, "I'm sorry, we can't afford the $68,000, and that's the end of Raynham. Raynham leaves. A few months later, he gets a phone call back, and it's Lowell. "Come to see me," and they did that, and he said, "Okay, we'll give you the $68,000 and the house." The rest is history. Bobby now comes to work at Atlanta. Now, Lowell has already hired Rees Jones to be the architect, who's sitting here, who's my good friend who will speak next. Hopefully he'll verify this. And Bobby naturally makes a phone call to Rees to introduce himself. He said, I'm the new green superintendent. Mr. Jones says, oh, that's very nice, but I want you to know that when I designed a golf course, I hired the green superintendent. And Bobby says, I think we have a problem. And it wasn't a problem. The two of them got along, and that's the end of that. Now Bobby comes to work at Atlantic, and a few years later, in 1998, I become president of the club, and Bobby has already got that fire burning. He wants to see changes, and he has some ideas how to make certain changes at the golf club. And he and Rick Hartmann come to me, together with the green chairman at that time, and they want to start maybe to introduce some new changes to the golf course. And every great golf course in America undergoes changes, whether it's Shinnecock, whether it's Augusta, wherever, there's always changes. But remember, Rees Jones, when he designed this golf course, and he's sitting there, this was the rated #1 new golf course in America when it was built, okay? It was in the top 100 in Golf Digest. And the young green superintendent, who was like a real arrogant young guy, he was now rated in Golf Digest #7 in Golf Digest, maintenance-wise, of all the golf courses in America. Okay, so now these fellows want to talk about changes. I said, listen, we are not going to make any changes at this golf course without Rees being involved. And Rick and Bobby had their own ideas, and there was a lot of discussion going back and forth. I said, I don't care what, I've seen too many golf courses destroyed by certain green superintendents, certain golf boards who have no idea what the hell they're doing, and they think they're better than everybody else. Anyway, so I convinced them that we should have Rees involved, which they really did, but they were concerned that Rees would not go along with the changes because the golf course is so well recognized. So I called a meeting on a Sunday, and it's Bobby, myself, Rick Hartmann, Rees, and Bobby, of course, doesn't tell us what's going on. He decides to hire a shaper to work on a golf course, okay? But he forgets to tell us the shaper used to work for Rees, and Rees had fired the guy, okay? Now, he's coming to this meeting also, but unfortunately, he calls up, he has a flat tire, he can't make it, so Rees is very upset. I said, okay, let's everybody calm down. I'm telling this story only because this is I'm going to stop in a minute because they'll finish, but this is important to the history of Atlanta Golf Club. So I said, okay, how do we get about this? Rees is upset, this guy is supposed to be there, he doesn't show up, and Hartmann doesn't know whether he'll go along with it, and Bobby says, Mr. Morrow, I trust you to talk to Rees, I'm sure, I said, okay, let's go out on the golf course. We walk on the golf course, and I tell Bobby and Rick, I said, you two guys stay back on the tee, let me walk with Rees. And we walk down the fifth fairway, and Rees says to me, Bob, like, what's going on here? What are they looking for? I said, well, it's not like a big deal. I said, Rees, whatever happens, you're involved. And you're going to stay involved with this golf club no matter what we do. I think I got to be nice to him. I got to satisfy these two guys, and I got to keep him happy, and I'm in the middle. So I said, what they would like to do is they would like to remove the mounds halfway down the fifth fairway going to the green. And Rees walks and he looks at it, and Rees doesn't say a lot, and I can say this because he's one of my closest friends. And he doesn't say very much, and we walk down, and he's thinking, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm not sure what he's going to say. Those two guys are waiting back there. They're going to kill me. I got to deal with him. How do I get out of this thing? And he turns around to me and says, no, do not take out the mounds going halfway down. I said, oh, this is what these two guys were afraid of. He said, no. He says, take out the mounds for the entire hole. Go all the way back to the tee box and take them all out. I said, this can't be. I'm not hearing this. This is not what's going on. So I said, Rees, do me a favor. You wait here. Let me go talk to Bobby and Rick. Where's Hartmann? Hartmann tells me, I'm telling you, he's not going to agree to changes. As good as he is, he's not going to. I said, okay. So I walk back, and Hartmann says, what did Rees say? I said, you're right. He said, no. I knew it. I told you he wouldn't go along with it. So I said, really? He said no to removing the mounds halfway down. He said yes to removing the mounds on the entire hole. Well, the two of them didn't believe me. Anyway, that's the end of it. From that point on, Bobby and Rick and Rees worked together for the next 7 or 8 years to make various changes and improvements, to make a good golf course that much better, and to make the conditions for our members that much better. So I'll stop with that until the others go. One more quick point. When I became the president in 1998, the club had a few issues with the green superintendent as far as the budget. And there was a few people, Capelli was here, and Ken Davidson. I said, okay. So I called Bobby up. I said, Bobby, I got to talk to you. I said, do you have an office? He said, I have an office down by the cabins in the bottom and the back. So I said, okay, I'm coming down. I go down there, we sit down. I said, listen, I don't know the first thing about growing grass, but I know a little bit about finances and I know a little bit about people. And you and I got to talk. He says, Mr. Morrow, I swear to you, you're the first person that's ever come to my office in 6 years to talk to me about the budget. I said, well, I'm not going to be, this is not my last visit. This went on for a long time. But I told him one thing, you tell me the truth, I'll get you what you want. You don't tell me the truth, I'll bury you. I said, I can be just as tough as you, but we got to straighten this thing out. Every budget was over. There was no way that this man would ever live up to a budget. But the positive thing was that because they were over, the golf course kept getting better and better. And you can't fight with success. And this man knew how to grow grass. Finally, I said, I finally, the last budget, and Kenny Davidson is here tonight, who was in charge of the budget numbers. I finally said, let's add I tell the board, let's add $200,000 to the budget. There's no way he can exceed that. This is, I swear on my 6th grandchild. He tells me, RANUM tells me, Mr. Morrow, we have to buy, and I'm not sure of the equipment, we have to buy 4 grass cutters to cut the grass around the first cut around the greens. I said, okay, and it was like $150,000. I agreed to whatever it is, no problem. And that's in the budget. Kenny gets the budget, calls me up and says, Mr. Morrow, he says, the bill came in for these lawnmowers, and we're going to pay it. But I just got a bill for 4 more lawnmowers. I said, what are you talking about? So I call him up. I said, Bobby, what the hell are you doing? We're going to get buried. He's, oh, Mr. Morrow. He's always, oh, Mr. Morrow. He's so polite and so nice. He's putting a knife on my back every day. But he said, I forgot to tell you, I did 4 lawnmowers for the back 9. Those are always for the front 9. After that, I gave up. I said, whatever budget you want, you can have. I'm getting the hell out of here. And I just want to thank everybody for showing up here tonight. And I want to thank Bobby and Allison for what they've done for this club. It was a good club then. It's a great club. Golf course design, golf course maintenance. We are the luckiest people to have you. And I know there's a new leaf coming in your life, and you're going to turn that over, and you're going to be just as successful, if not more successful, going forward. So good luck to both of you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrow. That was a long 3 minutes. But that's okay. Rees, you got 1. We all know the name of Rees Jones in this business. I've had the pleasure of his acquaintance for 27 years. Rees and Bobby go a little further back as they work together building Atlantic. To my knowledge, over those years, they never disagreed. Not once. Rees, come on up.
I would first like to thank Darryl for a phenomenal meal. I've been to a lot of club functions, and this has to be the best meal I've ever encountered at a club function. I want to start my talk a little bit before Bob arrived here. I was in San Francisco, and I just played golf, and I put my clubs out. I heard the phone ringing in the hotel room, and I put my clubs out in the hall. I was at Fisherman's Wharf, and this guy, Lowell Schulman's on the phone and said, I am about to put money down on a piece of land. I want to build a golf course in the East End of Long Island. You've got to get here in the next week, or else I'm not going to get a chance to buy this land. So all this time we're talking, I'm sure my clubs are stolen by the time I get back in the room. But so I came out here, and we stood where the first tee is, and Lowell said, can you build me a great golf course here? And I looked across the top topography, even though it was internal inland site? And I said, yes, we can. So then we went through the whole approval process, and it took forever. We had the wrong person in the beginning, and then he brought in Tom Julius, who really basically worked with all the local environmental people, and we got this project approved. And then it was during the Resolution Trust banking problems, and we really didn't know really how it was going to run, and $100,000 was the amount of money that people had to pay to join, and that was a big number at that time. Now Bob then came into our lives, and it was probably the best day of this club's history, because no matter what Mr. Morrow says, Hartmann and Bob and I pretty much agreed on everything that's been done here. And what happens in golf course design is you go through trends. When they built Loxahatchee and Grand Cypress, the mounds were in vogue. When Pete Dye built his pot bunkers, then we started building pot bunkers. And then the trend started getting to the more windswept bunker, and that's really, in essence, what we and Rick and Bob and I did on the bunkers here, and then took out a lot of the mounds because they really were not in vogue. And the story is true. When I first met Bob, I do have a stipulation in my contract that I picked the superintendent, and I was introduced to Bob as the superintendent. What did I say, Bob? I said,
You said exactly to me, you said, I usually pick the superintendent, and you weren't there. This is gonna be a short relationship.
well, Lowell Shulman picked the right guy, I'll guarantee you. But when Bob left Garden City, his green chairman told him that this place would never make it, but it sure has. I think that what's really made Bob so successful is that he knows how to get along with people, he knows how to engage people, he knows how to pick people to do the work, and I just haven't really known too many superintendents quite like you, because you really do get things done in an amazing way. I think what really made us bond is that we had a guy that Lowell put in charge of the project that neither one of us liked. And he used to yell at us. But so Bob and I really became the team two versus the project manager. And that happens in a lot of projects. They bring in a project manager that really has had nothing to do with golf, and so we in essence had to determine what had to be done. He didn't know, he just didn't trust any of the contractors, and we did. And we had phenomenal contractors. My own shaping crew did the shaping, Tom Tantu did the irrigation. It was really a great experience. The one thing that really, I don't think anybody really knows, but Bob did more to help with the success of this project, because when we were building the golf course, he and Matt would bring over the prospective, Harvey Radler could probably tell you, he'd bring the prospective members around and tour around the golf course. And the more we did, the more it got exciting, to see what was being created out here. And so Bob and Matthew really became the salespeople on a daily basis, and they take the prospective members around and, in essence, sell the memberships. And there are only going to be 180 of them, and that's what the club has done from day one. He's had some tough times. He had Hurricane Bob came through here. We had another storm where the potato farm dumped thousands of potatoes on the golf course. But nothing fazed Bob. Nothing, and that's when Matt really, he got out there with a shovel, and Bob put him to work. And they were in every bunker, the potatoes, but he got it back in play for the members within like 2 days. Hurricane Bob goes through. When we had our approval process, we were only allowed to take down so many trees. I called Bob up, I said, get the bulldozer out now, knock them down now. But he didn't do that for me. I think Bob mentioned that we were best new golf course, and then we got both top 100 lists. And I think that's a lot of credit to Bob too, because one of the criteria for that list is the condition of the golf course. And I think, as Bob Morrow just said, when you go down the list, we were the 7th best in that category, which really, in essence, put us in all those lists and gave us the Best New Course of the Year award. So I'm not really here to roast Bob, as you can tell. I'm here to toast him. One time the 10th green got blown out, the irrigation pipe broke, and hey, Bob calls me, you gotta come see it. He basically had never seen anything like this before, and he said, Rees, what do we do? I said, we fix it. And just like everything that's ever happened here in Atlantic, Bob fixed it. So I'm really kind of praising the guy, but now I'm going to tell you a few other things. Bob is the worst person I've ever known at calling you back. And I mean, this has gone on for 30 years. And so I would have to call Allison all the time. I'd say, Allison, I've got to reach Bob. Would you please get him to call me back? But I've never forgotten this in my career. Lowell Schulman, the founder, paying his salary, calls me up one day and says, Rees, Bob won't call me back. I said, could you call him, please? And I'm like, this is very important. I've been calling him for days. And would you just have him call me back? And so I had to go call Allison, and then she told Bob, and I think Bob finally learned from that one, and it might have gotten a little bit better. I just want to sort of end, and I know that Bob took most of my time, but I just, from my standpoint, and really being involved with this club, and this is a club that started from scratch and is now one of the most respected clubs in America. A lot of it has to do with Rick, Jim, Bob. I think to some degree, when people come here to Atlantic, I know we're in amongst a lot of great golf courses. I mean, this is probably the mecca of great golf courses, especially private great golf courses. But when people start ranking them, when they call me back or calling, there was just a group that came here, this was their favorite golf course. And I think Rick just hosted them. These guys, they called me up, they're from Pine Valley, and this was their favorite golf course. And I think a lot of it has to do with the changes we made over the years together, with the just keeping up to date, with the conditioning, the speed of the greens. Ron Whitten called these the best green surfaces in post-World War golf course architecture, and I've been very proud of that. But most of all, I think what I've gotten out of my mother told me the greatest thing about being in the golf business is it's just a whole lot of great people. And you meet so many great people, and you have so many friendships for life. And I just want to thank you, Bob, for the friendship we have. And I'm going to come down to Myrtle Beach and visit you, because this is going to continue. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rees. Thank you very much. Eric Berg worked as an assistant to Bob back around 2001-2002. After that, he moved on and eventually ended up with John Deere. As a regular visitor to the club, he and Bob remained good friends. Eric was successful a few years back in signing Atlantic to a pretty big John Deere equipment lease. The supplier even featured Bob as a spokesman in a sales video. Go figure. The club now leases Toro. Eric, come on up.
Thank you. I know, Bob. All right. Mr. Morrow, I would just like to say that I was with you and Bob in one of those over budget meetings, and Bob said to me, I asked him, is the club happy? So what? What are you going to do, fire me? So I met Bob back in 2001, Labor Day weekend. I was actually a bouncer at a bar. Surprisingly, met Bob at a bar. We were introduced, and he had a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, said I was interested in golf course architecture, and Bob said, you know what, you're hired. I'm thinking, who is hiring a doorman at a bar within 5 minutes of meeting him? Bobby Rainham. So, my first day of work here was actually 9/11. I should have taken a clue that maybe this wasn't the best place to go. Shortly after that, we started a tea project here along with Rees, redoing all the teas. And Bob had asked me, what do you know about irrigation? I said, well, I know a little head pops up and water comes out of it. Bob says, you're my irrigation tech. You're doing the whole project with me. So the project was going all well, and it was about Thanksgiving, and Keith Crafts was the assistant also, and Bob says, I gotta have a meeting with you guys, 8th tee, let's go. Rick comes out, Bob, Keith, and I. Bob says, how you guys doing with the project? Keith says, well, I'm right behind the shapers with the mix, Bob. Eric, I'm right behind the mix with the irrigation. Okay, I'll see you guys around Christmas. That sounds good. But the most memorable story with Bob, and he likes to tell this to everyone, is there was one summer Matt was racing at Loretta's, and Bob had never seen Matt race in a big race like this. So he said, listen, I'm going to go away. You need to take care of the golf course. Keith has a bad back. You just, let me give you a few tips. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to irrigate. So he spent a day, teaches me how to irrigate. He says, the second thing is don't kill anything. It's club championships coming up in a couple of weeks, just don't kill anything. Okay, Bob. And the last, most important rule, don't do anything until I return. I mean anything, don't do anything, just keep going along with the program. At the time, we were redoing a well out by the pump house, and the well guys were finished, and I said, why don't I just make Bob happy, finish this project before he gets back? So I grabbed Mickey, I said, Mickey, let's get the backhoe. We had about a 20-foot trench to dig. Mickey, scoop 1, scoop 2, scoop 3, boom. Hits a 3-phase power line, browns out a quarter of Bridgehampton, blows out the pump house, blows out the halfway house, and sets the air exchangers in the clubhouse on fire. So I almost burned the whole place down. So this is on a Friday afternoon, and Bob luckily had no cell phone service. So Keith and I went to Jim and said, Jim, this is what happened. He says, now you'll learn something, right, won't you? I go, yeah, mark before I dig, Jim. Mark before I dig. Next Saturday morning, Bob calls. I tell him the story. The next thing was me holding the phone out here, and still hearing Bob's voice through the phone. What about don't do anything did not you understand? So Bob, in honor of that, Tony recently found a piece of the power line that I hit. And finally, I'd just like to thank the RANUM family and Bob especially for giving me a lot of confidence. Bob actually helped me get my job with Toro and with John Deere. Bob always had more confidence in me than I ever had myself. And the family has been so giving to me. I almost feel like I'm part of the RANUM family. I mean, I was given the ability to decorate Amy's Sweet 16 party and also help bouncers keep bad boys away from her. Have Matt scare the hell out of me driving his motorcycle over me on the old mounds that Rees got rid of, thank goodness. And going out with Matt and spending $800, I don't know how. But also, it's not only your retirement, Bob, it's also Allison's. If it weren't for Allison, I don't know how you would make it through what you made it through. You're welcome. Because as we all know, and Rees can attest to, she's the only one that returns phone calls. Bob would always say, I'm like, Bob, why, that's Rees Jones, pick up the phone. He just wants something from me, I'm not answering that. So, everyone, I just want to thank you. This place is a very special place. Somebody just asked me out on the buffet line if I miss it. I do. I do miss this place. It's a special place. A place where the pro, the GM, the Greens Committee Chairman, even though he goes over budget, and the superintendent all get along. It is a special place. I have very fond memories here, and I wish you guys all the best going forward. Thank you.
Eric, great job. You know, it's funny, you mentioned this, I just have to comment that Bobby has never had a budget he couldn't exceed. We put some controls in place along the way so that every invoice has to be signed with Bob RANUM'S name on it, and Allison has signed thousands of invoices. Anyway, Tony Stalters first joined Atlantic Golf Club in 1997 as an intern and left at the end of his internship. He impressed Bob so much that Bob asked him to return as an assistant, which he did, and then he left again for another job, a super's job. But he returned one more time as the assistant and, as I've said, the heir apparent. Tony is either a masochist or he saw an opportunity. And now he's holding Bob's hat and he's got the door wide open. Tony, where are you?
These tall guys speaking in here. Does anybody here really believe that Bob is retiring? He's not. He wanted to throw himself a party. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Tony Stalters, and tonight we are honoring two very special people that have been a part of my life for the last 22 years. Bob and Allison, congratulations on your retirement, and congratulations on an unbelievable career. For over 40 years, you blazed the trail in the turfgrass industry and paved the way for so many golf course superintendents. You have been an inspiration to me and so many others in and out of this industry. Year after year, I'm always amazed and enjoy going to the National Turf Conference and walking around with the both of you and not being able to walk 10 feet without somebody coming up to both of you with open arms and smiles. It's a real testimony of how special and respected the both of you are. Bobby, in 1997, our paths crossed and my life changed forever. Most people in this room tonight can remember their mentor, the one person in their life that guided them in their career and helped them develop into the person that they are today. Well, tonight, I'm proud to say that Bob RANUM is that special person to me. Everything that I have and know about this business, I owe to him. I couldn't ask for a more dedicated, passionate, and motivated individual to guide me through my life and career. Many of you would like to hear the story on how I met Bob. I was working at an intern at Huntington Country Club at the time, and the superintendent gave me his number. He said, call this guy. So I called Bob, and I can remember how the conversation went. And I said, hi, is Robert RANUM there? And he goes, who is this? I said, well, my name's Tony, and I was wondering if you had room for an internship. And he says, how did you get this number? Said, well, Glenn, the superintendent gave it to me, so I asked Bob, I said, is there a position available, and what does it entail? And he said, you just show up. If you want to be an intern here, you come here and you show up and we can discuss it. I said, oh, So I said, okay, this is serious. So I get to Atlantic, and I meet Bill Shuford, who was the assistant at the time, and I'm doing some work on the 16th hole, and in the distance I could see a cloud of dust on the cart path. And I see a white Jeep come over, and the Jeep starts driving over tee boxes, and then over a side of a green, and the car pulls right up to me, and Bob pops out of the car, and he goes, "Ah, big stud, come on in here. Jump in the car. We're gonna go for a ride. You don't have to work anymore. Don't worry, you don't have to work anymore." We proceeded to drive to every golf course on the East End, and he gave a detailed description of every club and the current superintendent that was there. Finally, we ended up at the public house, where we talked to her for the next 3 hours. He spoke about conditioning and playability and aesthetics and the lifestyle he embraced as being a golf course superintendent. I said, "Bob, I'm still on the clock at Atlantic, and we're here drinking at the public house, and I'm only 19. He smiled and he says, "Don't worry about it. Are you learning anything? Are we talking about turf and work?" He goes, "You're an intern. You're supposed to learn, so just let me teach you." I said, "Okay." That's when I knew Bob wasn't your typical golf course superintendent. To some, it's a job they love. To Bob, it was a lifestyle that he embraced with passion that most people don't understand. And what's made Bob such a great super, many times working for Bob, he would walk into the shop and say, "You know, I was up all night thinking about this, and I couldn't sleep, and I come up with an idea." And he would literally lie in bed, and he would think all night about a better solution or an answer to a problem that we had. And most people would say, "It's just grass, Bob." But Bob's passion would always prevail, and he would find a way to make his golf course better than the day before. Bobby, your charismatic personality and passion for being a golf course superintendent has without a doubt impacted everyone's life in this room tonight. As you and Allison enter the next chapter in your lives, I hope it is as happy and successful as your life at Atlantic Golf Club has been. You have without a doubt left your footprint here at Atlantic Golf Club. And one thing is for sure, you will be missed. So once again, congratulations. I love you both. I'm getting serious now. I'm taking the mic out. So the roast part, I couldn't leave this out because everybody knows that they love my Bob Rainham's. They love Bob Rainham's impressions. So I'm just gonna say a couple of things or small things that I thought were funny here at Atlantic. Number one, radio chatter. Bob loves the two-way radio, and this is the only club that I've ever worked at that every member on the maintenance staff has a radio. So could you picture it? It's a Saturday morning, and there's a group on every hole, and the radio crackles, "Tony. Go ahead, Bob. I was at Bobby Van's last night, and we had the best steak, and I had the wine. It was unbelievable." Meanwhile, the whole golf course is echoing, and every group can hear what Bob had for dinner at Bobby Van's. And I'm like, "You know, Bob, you don't have to have a half an hour conversation about fertilizer over the radio. Just come and see me." And then there's the nervous radio chatter. When something's wrong, you can hear it right away on the radio. Eddie Garcia? Go ahead, Bob. Eddie? Go ahead, Bob. Eddie? Why isn't he answering me? I'm like, "Bob, you're talking over him. You gotta give him a chance to respond." So the radios, I'm not gonna miss the radio chatter, Bob. Number two, Bob's famous firmness test on turf. Bob will walk onto the green and go, yeah, that's it, that's perfect, that's it, that's the way we want. That is perfect, that is firm, that's perfect. Or you can get, when everybody thinks it's good, Bob walks onto the tee box and, yeah, it's a little spongy right now. Did you guys water last night? Are we on the same page? This is unbelievable. I told you guys not to put it on there. This is unbelievable. I'm done. Bob, wait, let's talk about this. I'm done. I'm going in the house. Probably the most memorable story Well, there's so many stories, but I'll tell you. Bob comes up to me one day, he goes, listen, I have to get a procedure on my throat, I might not be able to talk for a day. It's no big deal. So Bob goes off and gets the procedure, and I see Allison come across the courtyard, and she has this look on her face, and I said, oh my God. She goes, Bob can't talk at all. Like, he can't talk at all for a week. I said, oh my God, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. It wasn't great. Bob comes walking across the shop with a yellow legal pad and a pen, and he starts to scribble down everything he wants to do, and I'm like, oh my God, this isn't gonna work. So we're driving around, and Bob's mumbling, he's going, and he's slamming the pen on the paper, and he's trying to get his point across, and I don't understand a word he's saying. I said, Bob, I can't understand you, and he's like, We pull up to the 18th hole, and it was really humid out. And the whole thing is like getting scalped, and it's not going good, and he starts freaking out, and he's going, and he starts writing on the paper and scribbling. I said, he's like, raise the heights. I said, you want to lower the heights? He's like, no. He takes a paint gun, we had a paint gun in the back of the car, and he starts smashing the paint gun back and forth over the cart. The thing explodes. And that's just one of the good stories. But Bobby, we love you. And I'm going to miss all the craziness.
Tony, for a minute there, I thought you missed the memo on the roast part, but you came through.
Go, Tony!
Tony Hooks. Tony Hooks, Bob's fellow superintendent from Due Process, is here to give Bob a little due process of his own. Only someone that does the same thing you do every day can really see your inner soul. Tony?
Should be good. Boy, that's a tough act to follow. I'm glad I'm sandwiched in the middle of everybody here, you know? So those who don't know me, I'm Tony Hooks, superintendent at Due Process in New Jersey. And on behalf of Bob, Allison, and the RANUM'S family, welcome everybody to a great event here. So appreciate the invite. So a couple weeks ago, I'm talking to Bob, and Bob's like, yeah, we're just talking turf, whatever. And he slips in, he's like, oh, by the way, you're speaking at my event at the retirement. I'm like, I am? And he's like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, well, we all know he doesn't ask. He's like, you know, just get up and tell everybody how great I am. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so you want me to lie? He goes, well, you don't have to lie. He goes, I'll write something up for you if you want. Now you can just read it, you know? And I'm like, you mean Allison will write something up for you? You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, same thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, in any case, I'll tell you guys a couple quick stories. I'll be under 5 minutes for sure, of how we met and what, you know, how it came about. But about 12 years ago, I was super up in the Bronx, Pelham Split Rock, and Bob calls me up, random phone call. He goes, hey, I'm Bob Rainham Atlantic. He goes, my son's playing in a qualifier, New York City Amateur. He goes, he's got an event. He goes, I want to get him up there and play. So I said, yeah, no problem. Comes up, Bob comes up with him. Sure enough, we play. We hit it off instantly, have an absolutely great time. So Matt qualifies, and the finals are in Staten Island at Lot of Red. So Bob calls me up. He goes, oh, he's playing a Lot of Red. He goes, can you get him out? I said, yeah, we'll get out, we'll play. So they came down, played a practice round. They brought him for some good Staten Island pizza. And in any case, Matt ended up playing and staying with me. I got 2 young daughters at the time. Of course, they loved the kid. So, yeah, they were 3 and 5, you know, so. Yeah, so Matt stayed with me, and in any case, you know, instant friends with the RANUM'S family, you know. So worked out. It was just it's just nice to be there. I brought some notes so I don't get too far off track here, you know. So it looks like a lot of notes, but it's a bunch of gibberish, you know. So to thank me for having Matt Bob goes, hey, I got a concert. We got Kenny Chesney and Zach Brown, I think it was, right? So at Meadowlands, why don't you bring your wife? I never met your wife, and we'll come. I said, okay, great. So sure enough, we meet at a bar in the Meadowlands, and he comes up. I go, Bob, this is Rachel. And he goes, Rachel? He goes, your name's Rachel? And she goes, yeah. He goes, so Rachel Hooks? And he goes, yeah. He goes, your name's really Rachel Hooks? And she's looking at him like, yeah, my name's Rachel Hooks. Why? He goes, were you a stripper? He goes, that sounds like a stripper name, So before my little Italian wife could give her a right hook, Allison, of course, slips in and goes, don't listen to him, it's okay, you know what I mean? So sure enough, once again, Allison saves him, So we ended up having a great time. So then, Bob goes, oh, you play golf? I'm like, yeah, I get out once in a while, So Bob's like, oh, I'm a member of this club, Southampton. And I'm like, I heard of it, but, nothing much. And he goes, I basically run the place, I design the place. He goes, and I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, you come play in the member guest room. I'm like, wow, this guy must be really big. He goes, it's a Bob RANUM design. I'm like, you mean Seth Rayner? And he goes, yeah, Seth RANUM, same thing. Don't worry about it, So he's like, I just run the place. So just accept that. I was like, okay. So sure enough, my first time out, we come up. It's unbelievable. We come up, it's a cold, rainy day. I mean, it was like the worst day we could have. So sure enough, we get in, we're having breakfast. There's about 70 golf carts lined up. There's 69 golf carts with like a roof and a windshield, and there's one all the way on the end. No roof, no windshield. So we're looking for a bag, and I'm walking down the line, and the mist is coming down, it's blowing. I'm like, oh boy, it's like, not this one. Sure enough, the one with no roof windshield. So right out of the gate, I knew what his status was at that club, So we have a great time anyway. We won the event. I think we won a lot of events there, Bob. But so after the round, Allison has this table set up for like 15 people in the house. And she's like, we're going to have a big steak dinner. This is going to be fantastic, And Bob all day was whining. I mean, I can't believe that. No roof, no windshield, I'm wet. I can't take it. I want to go home and do nothing, It's like, whatever you want to do, Bob. He goes, I got an idea. Let's get a pizza, and we'll just go back to the house and forget. I don't want to see anybody. I can't see anybody tonight. And I'm like, a pizza? I'm like, this is the Hamptons. You mean like frozen Elios or something? Like, what do they serve out here? He's like, we got the best pizza, the best. I'm like, Bob, I just brought you to Staten Island. He goes, no, we got the best pizza. I was like, okay. So I was going along with it. Sure enough, Sarah comes walking in with a box of pizza. Bob's all happy now, She puts it down, opens it. It's the color of my white pickup truck. Bob picks up one slice, everything falls off, he slams it down. Don't talk to me! Right to bed he went, I continued to shove about 3 slices down my throat, and I was just laughing the whole time. I said, this is the best, you know what I mean? So it was really great. But I sometimes I think to myself, what makes us such good friends, and I realize we both love our families, our wives. We have a passion for that. We both have a passion for golf course architecture. We both have a great belief in God and our religion. And most importantly, we're both right-wing conservative Trump fans who love Fox News, So I said, how can we not get along, And we all know that's most important to him. With that, I'd like everybody to raise their glass. Toast to Bob and Allison. Life is truly like a book. It has a beginning and end, a lot of chapters in the middle. And although this 40-year chapter has come to an end, by the look on everybody here, we're all excited for both your and Allison's next chapter. God bless and good luck.
Tony, great job, thank you. I'd really never seen that side of Bob. I'm just surprised. Bill Shuford was an assistant superintendent when I arrived some 27 years ago. We remember Bill well, mostly of him waist deep in a hole in the rain, on a cold June day, repairing an irrigation break. He may still have some of that Atlantic dirt in his pant cuffs, and I think he's going to share some right now. Bill?
Well, I really don't have anything specific prepared. I figured I would just get up here and talk about a kind, considerate, forgiving person. But Allison, this is not about you tonight, it's about Bob. And we know even if it were about you, Allison, tonight, it would still be all about Bob. So, anyway. But honestly, it's been 21 years since I've worked for Bob. I worked for him for 8 years. I'll say it again and let that sink in. I worked for him for 8 years. Whew. I'm off the medication now. I still twitch occasionally. And it was at the urging of my therapist and other physicians that it's time to move on. You've got to go elsewhere. So there I did. But the passion that Bob has for golf course maintenance, for what he does, like Tony said, he'll lay awake all night. And you know that. We've all heard that. I've been up all night. Hey, we got to talk. This is what we're doing. So, but that passion was very contagious. I called it. I appreciate everything you've done for me. I mean, taught me many things, phrases like dark 30. You work till it's dark, and then 30 minutes longer, and then you come in. How long are we working today? We're working half a day. That's not 4 hours, that's 12 hours, half a day. You know, I also learned that when you start a vehicle in the morning, you never turn it off. I don't know why, but you leave it running all day. Now, one thing I did learn from Bob is that there are certain people that should not wear short pants. If anybody's seen that, I don't know. Anyway. But, you know, again, I thank you for everything you guys have done for me. When I first moved up, I worked for Rich McNabb in North Carolina, who some people may know. He's originally from New York, and Rich says, oh, you know, you need to be somewhere where you can learn more. And they were building Atlantic at the time, and I called Bob, and I remember on the phone, Bob's like, yeah, Rich says you're good, you're hired. And I thought, well, you know, consider the source, I don't know. But anyway, and I showed up. I remember I had a nice, at the time, Nissan Maximas came out, and I drive up in that, and Bob's like, I love this guy. Look at that car. For a car, I'm appreciated. Okay, so anyway, that just struck me as interesting. But anyway, I do thank you for everything you guys have done for me. Your passion for the job is very contagious, you know, and that certainly helped me in my career, and understanding that it's not just a 9-to-5 job. You know, it's a lifestyle, and it is what we do. And again, like I said, I appreciate everything you've done for me, but what I most appreciate is the friendship that we have now. And I know that you're someone I could always count on, someone I could always ask for help, and you'd be there to do it. So I thank you for everything, and I wish you guys luck, best of luck in the next venture in life. So.
Bill, it's always good to see you and Patty. You're looking great.
The non-disclosure form that I had to sign.
I'll send you a copy. I'll send you a copy. Okay, it's time to hold on to your seats. Now things get serious. Now is the time that we need to tie Bobby to his chair. Right now. Rick Hartmann and Bobby have worked closely together since Rick arrived in 1996. They have collaborated on all the course changes along with Rees since then, and the results are fantastic. I know they never disagreed. Ever. Rick?
The one thing that worries me the most is most of the time we haven't disagreed. That worries me a lot. Anyway, another toast. I have to have a toast for Allison. Because Allison, how she has done this for as long as she's done this and married you twice is the miracle on Breeze Hill. Because Bob told me the other day, Allison, I'm sure he told you this the other day because he was in the office with Jim and I. And he goes, oh, this retirement is amazing. He goes, Allison thought, I'd get up at 4:30 every morning. I go down and have my coffee on my own. I go over to the shop. I speak to the guys. We get ready for the day. He goes, now he's sleeping in a little bit, 7 o'clock, having a great time. And he says to Al, listen, Al, from now on, we're going to get up at 7:30 and have coffee together. I'm going, why is your retirement ruining Allison's life? She did not sign up for this. There's no way she signed up for this. I'm going, Bob, do not kill her. I call her St. Allison all the time. I do call her St. Allison. So Al, amazing. You're the best. I definitely didn't write anything down because it would take too long for me to write it down. Because I do have stories for days. And this morning I called Mickey into the office, who I begged, tried to bribe. I tried to do everything I possibly could for them to tell a story. And as faithful they are with him going, they still won't say a word. So as you know, the crew you have is amazing. The guys, we love them all. You love them. They do an amazing job. And also, knowing Bob, you see how he covered his ass here. Superintendent from Shinnecock's here. Superintendent from Wingfoot's here. Superintendent from National's here. I go through the list. Sabonic, Deepdale. Bobby's making sure that he can get on any golf course when he wants to. Because you know this dinner's not for free. You're going to get them. So I'm going to tell a couple stories. Again, you're going to have to wield in some of the language, because some of the language, I don't want to tell you Bob's favorite word, but favorite word comes out a lot. I asked Mickey to help, and he says it. He goes, a lot. But my first day here, this is a true story. Mickey and I went over it today. I said, just want to make sure. My first day, I was playing golf with the golf chairman, Alan Stillman, if I'm not mistaken, one other. I don't know if Alan remembers. We were walking off the 5th green. I'm new here. First day pro. I've never been in a club before, really. I've never dealt with a superintendent. I have no idea that they're all crazy. I have no idea. And we're walking off the 5th green, and the club had decided to put railroad ties off the green, going off the green to the 6th tee. So we're walking off the green, and the chairman goes to Mickey, Mickey, are you sure you're doing those steps right? Because are they right distance apart? Are you sure? No big deal. I go, okay, that's, just checking on. He's the green chairman. And we're walking to the next tee, and so Mickey stopped working and obviously called Bob. Not good. It was not pretty after this. So we tee up on number 6, and we get halfway up in the 6, and the cart comes up, slams on its brakes. He jumps out of the cart, and he goes to his chairman. This is his boss at the club. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what's going on. And he gets out of the cart, and he goes, if you ever tell my guy to stop working again, I am never, ever again, obviously the word's way bad here. You're never doing this again. Don't ever think of talking to one of my guys. Do not stop with the work. I will be out of here in 5 minutes. And he goes on like this for like 10 minutes. And I'm going, oh my God, what have I signed up for? And he gets it back in the cart with Wilbur, because I checked that today again too, to Wilbur, and they peel off. I go, oh my God, this is where I'm going to be. And as I'm walking down the fairway, the only thought that I could possibly get is, I can never be fired from this club ever. Ever. It's no joke. And the boys know, listen, that's a kind version of the story. I never could have. Listen, but Bob, that is Bob's way. And then, because we're at time, and I don't want to miss the Suskind, because I could go on for all day. As we were in the shop today with Mickey in the shop. We started the one story. We probably had about 20 stories for 20 minutes. But Bob, we did try to invite a few more people here. The assistants, my assistants, who you're great to, and whatever. We tried to invite a few more, but a few of them were afraid to come. Nick Haas, who we had as a show, he's out of the golf business now. But Nick's first day, first 3 hours of working at the club. You remember more. And this is the best thing about Bob, is he remembers everything that happened. Nick is not here 3 hours. Comes in the shop, we hire Nick, local Long Island kid, seems like a really clean-cut, nice kid. Put him in the dorms downstairs, the guys bring him down. He's great, it's late, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We all leave, he's gonna show up for work the next day. Nick decides he wants to go hit a few balls, which would be fine if he used the range. He decided to use 100 yards out on 13. Next to the house. And it wasn't one golf ball, he might have thrown 4 or 5 down there. And he's hitting wedge shots to number 13. Well, Bob sees this, because it's right outside the house. Nick is lucky he survived. Because as I get a call later on in the day, I get a call at home, listen, we got a problem. And when I get a call later in the day when I go home, I know we have a big problem. And somehow Bob gets tied into the call. And he went crazy on poor Nick, and Nick is shell-shocked. He has no idea what to do. He's having a complete heart attack, and he feels horrible, and Bobby's just going, like, he just can't believe someone could be this stupid of practice in the middle of the fairway. So that's why there's not a lot of assistance here for you this evening. And one more quick story, I promise. One more quick one is.
I don't know if you have a couple more.
I got so. Oh, listen, it's so many to know what to do with. Well, then maybe there's 2 more then.
Okay.
But one of the other ones was I was lucky enough to try to qualify. I qualified for the U.S. Open in 2000, and it was at Canoebrook. And I do remember this. I remember standing at the scoreboard. But I'm playing in the qualifying, which I did make the U.S. Open that year at Pebble Beach. I did make it. But I really didn't realize I made it because I was a little preoccupied as soon as we finished, because my phone was blowing up when I was finishing. And I'm a freak about answering my phone, and I'm always checking it all the time. You know, important job, a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of things could happen, especially with Bob. Anything could happen. We have to be on call. Because I did smooth it out a lot. I mean, that's what Bob and I had a relationship that I could be able to smooth it out somehow. And so my phone's going crazy. So I finally answer the phone. And we're at the scoreboard. I'm finished. I played pretty well. I have a chance to qualify for the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. It's a huge deal. And I get a call from Keith. Rick, we got a problem. What could the problem? I'm in New Jersey. I'm in Canoebrook. How can I help you? Problem? We got a problem. Charlie, who was the maintenance guy here, decided to put letters on the maintenance building. Wouldn't seem like a big deal, would it? So, hold on. So if we had a fire or an emergency or a delivery, they might know what building to go to. No, didn't go over that well. Nobody checked with Bob. No one said to the letters, well, you would have think they burned the building down. Poor Charlie had no idea what happened, and they're calling me in New Jersey to straighten it out. I go, what the hell am I going to do in New Jersey if he's going nuts back here because they put some letters in the building? And that was part of the thing that was kind of relationship with Bob and I. Bob and I always would deal with it directly, we'd straighten it out. So I'm trying to wait for the scores to come, and I'm excited about Pebble Beach, and meanwhile I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going back on happened over at the club here with Bob. Huh?
Still no letters there.
I know. Yeah, how about that? That's, how many years has that been? Jim? 2000, yeah, 2000. Still no letters in the building. Good thing you haven't had a heart attack in one of the buildings yet. And then one more, we'll tell one more quick one, and then I'm going to turn it off to Mr. Suskind. I spoke to Darren May, because I call this was 2006. You'll remember this one too in a minute. 2006, Fescue, our big member guest. Big member guest, the highlight of the club. Bob's a little freaky, mostly about carts. And we had some rain that night, but it's our member guest. So we kind of, Bob, I said, Bob, listen, in the morning, we meet in the morning, Bob, I got to let, we got to do what we can. He goes, all right, I'll let him out, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful where they go. And I go, Bob, listen, the boys, we spoke to everyone. We checked it out. We spoke to everyone. Fescue, going off 9 and 10, everything's important. Darren May, who we love today, is going to help us redesign the range. Surprised he's coming back, but he is helping us. Is starting on number 10. So he's going out to start. And Darren decides, no big deal, he's going to go out to number 1. He's going to cut over 13, go over the bridge. When you cut over the 13, it's wet there. And he left 2 cart paths, 2 ruts in the grass. Wilbur remembers. He left 2 ruts in the car. It's next to a T. Well, it's not in the fairway. It's next to a T. So Darren's driving out, and all I hear in the radio is, Rick, where are you? We got a problem. And I go, what the hell, we got a problem? No one's even out yet. So he drives up, and there's 2 things there. He goes, we can't send carts out now. We're done. What's it? No carts on the course. I go, Bob, it's the member guest. I don't give a shit. No carts on the course. I go, Bob, no carts on the course. So I go, so now I have 96 members here that now I have to explain to them as they're leaving, there are no carts today. He doesn't give a shit. Leaves all on me. Doesn't care. Let Hartmann deal with it. I don't care. He's off down the road, off the property. I don't want to see anything. We played the fescue without carts that year.
And I broke a table in my house that day.
There's probably a few tables that have been broke and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, like I said, we could go on. I got so many stories I didn't do it, but listen, the project or the property that we've arranged here through Bob and I, who have had an amazing relationship, which is amazing with pros. Gil's here. One of his first guys. I've still heard stories about Garden City about no reels in the mowers when he's cutting greens. But Bob's relationship with the pro has always been very important, and we have got along amazing from when we got here. And we've always had a great working relationship, and we've always agreed on the golf course and the design, along with Rees, of what to do on the golf course. And Bob's got to be super proud to leave this place of the kind of golf course and the praise that this place gets on a day-to-day basis. It's a lot to do with his desire and his passion, which I have never seen in anyone, of his passion every day to make one place better. Like I said, poor guy doesn't sleep at night, Al. He comes in the morning with a new idea, and he will not stop on that idea until he gets done, or I can talk him out of it. One or the other. But I have to say is I've been so proud of working with you, Bob. You're a good friend. We have done amazing work here together that I will remember forever. And Bob, I want to get it out in the open for once and forever, so they finally cannot take credit for it anymore. is that patio that all the stuff is on, that, hold on, that Mr. Radler and Mr. Suskind said absolutely not to, turned down. The two brain surgeons over here said, no, we're not doing the patio, no way, it's terrible, whatever. We said, Bobby and I go, no, we need another meeting now. And we had it done. Best thing that happened to the club. So Bob, all the stuff, you know and I know what's happened. But
Is that all you got, Rick? That's life at Atlantic. Dennis Suskind, our current club president, was one of our original members and was active on the board from the start of the club. As such, he got to know Bob and his family and Allison and everybody early in Bob's tenure. As time went on, their relationship grew. Are you nervous about what I'm going to say? Many nights when I left the club, I'd see Mr. Suskind's car parked at the RANUM'S. I wondered. This party for Bob and Allison has been at the forefront of Mr. Suskind's mind for months. Day after day, when he stopped by my office, this is what we talked about. Forget regular club business. He wanted this to be just right for Bob. Let's say that their relationship is truly special. Mr. Suskind.
Just a few announcements first. I want to thank VVH for filming this, Bob. You can watch this the rest of your life if it's like if it's like my wedding video. You'll watch it once and you'll never find it again. But they were very nice to do this the last minute. Bob goes to sleep very early, so all those visits was really to speak to Allison. And that cemented our relationship. Tony, I'm sorry, you're not going to be superintendent. You're going to be the court jester. Yeah. But let me add my welcome to everybody here. This is really a special night for the members of Atlantic and the staff of Atlantic, especially the people that have been here for so many years and the people that have come back tonight. Tonight we've had a first at the Atlantic Golf Club. For tonight we came to praise and roast one of our own. Everyone in this room knows that Bob Radum is a first and perhaps the last of a kind. Bob came to us from, as mentioned, from Garden City Men's Club. Garden City told him when he left that he'd be back soon, that no club could exist with a $100,000 initiation fee. We were at that time the highest costing golf club in America. And so they would hold the job open for him because he would be back soon. Well, that was 30 years ago. Bob probably has mentioned that to me 3,000 times over the last 30 years. Well, I called Garden City yesterday, Bob. Job's not available anymore. There's been a lot of Ranum moments mentioned tonight. I'm going to speak only of two. This is sort of similar to Rick's story. I recall playing with the then Greens chairman, who will go unnamed. He mentioned to a grounds crew member that a sprinkler was out on a previous hole and someone should look into it. Seemed innocent enough to me. About 20 minutes later, Bob marched up, fire coming out of his ears, and said in a loud voice, "Don't you ever tell one of my men what to do." I assumed that was going to be his last day. Thankfully, I was wrong. Well, I have hundreds of Bob moments. My most memorable and favorite happened when we hosted the Mid-Am. I wrote what I thought was a pretty good speech, thanking everybody, and of course, especially you, Bob. Well, the last minute as I was leaving my house, my son, the writer, suggested I make a funny reference, comparing Bob to Bill Murray's character in Caddyshack. It seemed funny to me, so I threw that reference in. I cannot tell a lie, I got a few laughs. However, as the words left my mouth, I spotted Bob at the side of the room. He had jumped out of his seat and was stomping out. I was told he threw out a few four-letter words as he left. I asked myself, how was I to know anyone would take that movie seriously? Well, a few days later, we talked it out, and he told me that Carl Spackler, the superintendent, played by Bill Murray, was an insult to every real superintendent. Again, how was I to know anybody could take that movie seriously? Of course, I apologized, but between me and you, I'm not sure he has really forgiven me yet, especially now that I've brought it up again. To understand Bob, you have to know his deep passion for his work. A lot of his demeanor comes from his desire to do the best job he possibly can. He has relentlessly lived the Atlanta Golf Club from day one, always trying and succeeding in making it the best place it can be on a day-to-day basis. Over the years, Bob has worked side by side with Rick Hartmann to enhance this jewel created by Rees Jones. I cannot tell you how many hours of planning and implementing Bob has spent in these efforts to improve our course. Bob never changes or improves anything easily, however. He thinks and rethinks everything, and this club has benefited from his efforts. A few months ago, he presented us with a roadmap of what we would do or suggestions what we might do over the next 5 years. That is Bob, a dedicated professional and the best superintendent any golf course could have. Robert RANUM. Robert RANUM, the Atlanta Golf Club and its members cannot thank you enough for being part of our family and our appreciation for your work, dedication, and success in making us such a fantastic facility. I now have the pleasure of making a few presentations. First, from the town of Southampton, this proclamation. I'm just going to read a few lines from it because it's too long to read tonight. And I appreciate everybody staying within the 35 minutes I gave them to speak. It reads, whereas it is important that the town of Southampton recognize and honor the exemplary lives and achievements of those talented, distinctive individuals who achieve excellence and success for themselves and others. And whereas Bob RANUM, superintendent of the Atlanta Golf Club, is retiring after 30 extraordinary years of providing a unique, highest quality, memorable playing experience for the club members and guests. And it goes on to say, therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Southampton is privileged to join the Atlanta Golf Club family and friends in congratulating Robert A. RANUM on the occasion of his retirement as superintendent. And it goes on a little further. Second, a little something from me to you, Bob. You have that too, yeah. Well,
There's more.
there's more. So you can help me with this, Jim. I thought this might have a proud place in your home. Wait a second, hold on. There we go. There you go. Bill Murray wanted to come, but he was on the West Coast. Bob, I also am going to give you a Caddyshack CD, and I hope we can watch it together. As everyone in this room knows, Bob hates to spend money. Perhaps a little tight, as they say. He has told many of us about going to Europe with friends. His friends in business class, and some of them in the back of the room, which they never are in the back of the room usually, and he and Allison and Coach. Bob was not thrilled with Coach, but to quote him, "I didn't want to give those airline folks so much money." So as a thank you to you, Allison, and I'm glad everybody stood up and applauded you because you certainly deserved it before, but as a thank you to you, we will supply you with 2 plane tickets to Scotland, not in Coach. Bob, you love Atlantic, and we also love you and appreciate so much what you have done for this club and its members over the 30 years. So I have the pleasure of telling you, by unanimous vote of the Board of Directors, we have elected you as an honorary member of the Atlantic Golf Club. This is your locker door. It will be installed in the members' locker room. The good news is that you now can enjoy the privileges of membership at no cost. The bad news is you'll now have to pay for your own drinks. Bob, has your name on the locker. As I think Jim mentioned, Bob and I and Allison and their family became friends from day one. The boys used to come to my house to ride their motorcycles. I officiated it. A second marriage for you to the same woman. To your marriage, I can't mention your marriage because it's over. You're more than a friend. We're members of the Southampton Golf Club together. Unfortunately, you say you're going to play with me every Friday now, so I guess that's going to continue. But anyway, we welcome you as a member. You've always been our friend. I will now turn it over to Bob, who, as usual, always wants the last moment. Right.
All right, I'm out of here, guys. Okay, wow. I have to say, thank you all for coming, first of all. It's really special to me, but I mean, being a member of Atlantic Golf Club, to me, just made everything so special. Thank you guys so much. I tell you, I mean, to be part of a club like this, and now to be actually involved like this is just, you don't know how overwhelming that is, but I want to thank everybody for that. God, that was awesome. Thanks. I'd like to first, I only have about 30 or 40 minutes, so just take, does everybody have a drink in the place? Is everybody comfortable? I'd like to thank all the superintendents that came. A lot of them came from all over, Florida, Delaware, Long Island, and we're a special group of people, Long Island, the superintendents. We all do the same things. And I'm going to miss all the times I give Rabideau a call or Tony Hooks a call at 4:30 in the morning and ask them what they're doing. Then an hour later, Rabideau is done telling me what he's doing for the day because it's always something intense. But I will not miss a couple of things. I will not miss when members come up to me and say, the bunkers are too soft, the bunkers are too hard, the bunkers too much sand, not enough sand in the bunkers, and the greens are slow, the greens are fast. And my favorite overall statement is, the course is playing a little soft today, Bob, after an inch of rain. So those things, as all the superintendents in here will not miss any of those things. So I'm pretty good about that. Okay, let's see what else we got. To all my friends here that I play golf with, which is quite a few, and all my friends around, I'm gonna have a lot more free time. So I know it's not easy to be with me all the time, but you better get used to it because I'm gonna be around. And also, thank you guys for all the times I had to cancel at the last minute because Dennis Suskind called me about something that really didn't mean anything, but I still had to go and talk to him. So I look forward to a lot more great times together, and I have a lot of great friends, especially like at Southampton Golf Club. I'd like to talk a little bit about my career. I'm sure nobody really cares about my career, but this is my one chance to talk about my career. So there's a couple of people I have to have special thanks to. When I went to Garden City Golf Club, and there were two people there that really were very instrumental in my career. One is Tommy Poole, who was my green chairman there, who sent a beautiful letter to me about my career with him, and he couldn't make it here. And the other one is Gil McNally. I'm so happy that you made it tonight. You've meant so much to me in my career, Gil.
Wouldn't miss it.
And so you making it like this really made it special. Maybe not as special as the free membership, but close. You got second there. You know, when I went to Garden City Golf Club, I was 23 years old. And I really didn't know a lot. I must have bullshitted my way, like I do to you guys all the time. I bullshitted my way into this job. But Gil saw something in me, and Gil really showed me how to be a golf course superintendent. He taught me things like the golf course doesn't have to look great to be great. The golf course playing well and firm and fast, and the greens with not a lot of grass on them are better. And he spent so much time with me in the 13 years we worked together that really created the superintendent I became over the years. So Gil, I owe you, I think I owe you everything. This part of this retirement is because of you. So I thank you so much for coming. I have to mention Lowell Schulman, because without Lowell, I wouldn't be here. I think none of us would be here right now. Lowell had a dream, and he shared that dream with me in 1989. And I was so excited when he told me where the property was, and I drove out here and I walked every square inch of this property. And I looked at it, and I came back from my interview, and I just told him, this thing can be a great golf course. It has great bones, this land. And I think it's going to be, I want to be part of this. Fortunately, he didn't offer me the money I needed, but eventually he smartened up and gave it to me. But Lowell, thank you, Lowell, for the dream, and we owe you a lot. Rees Jones. What can I say, Rees? For the last 30 years, we've worked together very closely. And more than that, I consider you a very close friend of mine. And I think for the rest of my career isn't just ending here. I know me and you are going to be good friends forever, and we're going to spend a lot of time together. And I look forward to that too. So thank you for everything you've done. And when I first met you on that driveway, you didn't fire me, you let me go. I appreciate it. To the membership at Atlantic, this membership has treated me and my family like family. I've never worked here a day in my life that our whole family here did not feel like we were part of the Atlantic family. Our children all worked here. They loved working here. You never looked at me, I don't think you ever looked at me once as this is a worker, this is a golf course superintendent. You worked at me as part of a team, and I love you for that. The membership here is bar none the best membership in the country. Dave, you can put that jacket, stop interrupting me to put that jacket on. Right? The staff here, over the years, I've worked with everybody, in the staff here. From the locker room attendant to a great caddy master that we have, which I think beyond anything, Rocco is the best, and we all know that. We all know. But this staff here is by far the best staff I have ever worked with anywhere. And day and day, they make Atlantic Golf Club what Atlantic Golf Club is. We would not be the quality golf club without the quality employees that this club has. And I have to say to everyone who works here, and as you can see tonight, Chef here blows everybody away. It was phenomenal. Well, there they are, right there, my man. Okay. Green chairman and past presidents. I have to thank every one of you for not firing me. I know there were times when everybody in that position, where's Bob Morrow? I know he was there, had that idea to get rid of me, and thank you for that. So I loved working with everyone. I didn't love working with all of you at all the time, but I did love working with you. But that was thing. So thank you so much. Tom Hughes, my green chairman now. Tom, how can I say this? You know, when Tom became my green chairman, he said to me, I want you, let's get a game plan together. And he goes, I like facts. I don't like just like this is good today or this is good tomorrow. I want it to be good every day of the week. 7 days a week we want the same. Because I don't want Saturday to be great and Wednesday's not that great because you got doing something. So we put a game plan together when we first became partners, and I consider him my partner. And I really believe that from the day you became my green chairman, you changed my life, because I think I got, at my age, at 55 then, I became a better and better golf course superintendent because of you. So I really thank you for that. And I will miss, and I will have to say, I will really miss all our discussions about architecture, all our conversations about firmness of a golf course, speed, moisture levels. I will really miss, that's one of the things I'll miss most, is all the times we talk, and we talk every day. Get used to that, Tony. Dennis Suskind. Oh my God. You know what? I have to say, Dennis, I give you a lot of credit. You were the only one that got rid of me. They all tried. I guarantee you, every president and green chairman that I've ever worked with started off by saying, I'm the one to get rid of Bob. You're the only one who got it done. Congratulations. And Dennis, I really look forward to our Friday games, but please bring cash. There will be no IOUs. My crew here. Oh my God, this could get ugly for me now. I've had a great crew here over the years. I mean, they've stayed with me for a long time. But obviously, the Garcias are very special to me. The Garcia family, Mickey was the first employee I've ever had here. And he brought his brothers with him. And they became not employees, they became family to me. And my family considers you my family, and I consider you my family. You know, I'm going to leave here, and I'm going to miss Atlantic, but let me tell you, I'm going to miss you guys the most. I'm more proud of the Garcias than anything I've ever done here. So thank you guys so much for everything. Chris Weingart, I have to say, as we all know as golf course superintendents, without a great mechanic, we are nothing. If we are worried about what's going on in that maintenance shop, or where he's our eyes, he's our ears, he knows more about the operation than anybody on the whole staff. I've been very fortunate to have Chris for 20 years. And thank you, Chris, for your dedication, and thank you for everything you've done. Chris, I will say this about Chris. He always had my back. Every single day I worked here, I knew Chris had my back. If something wasn't right and I missed it, Chris made sure he missed it. Chris was the first in every day and the last to go home every day. I'm going to miss you and thank you so much for what you've done for me. I've been very fortunate tonight to have a lot of assistants who spoke here tonight and who are still around that didn't speak here tonight. And as a golf course superintendent, our measure of how good we are as a golf course superintendent is not how fast my greens are day to day or how good I do that golf course. It's the people that you produce that go out into the world and that they go out and whatever they do, if they're golf course superintendents or they sell machinery, whatever it is. I have had some great assistants. And I measure myself on the people that I have produced under me. So I want to thank all my assistants today, and I want to thank all my assistants in the past for everything you've done for me, and I'm very, very proud that you're out there doing that. Now, I have to say, on top of everything, as a bonus, one of my assistants are replacing me here. Very rarely that a golf course superintendent gets an honor like this, but it's really rare that one of his assistants get to take over from him. Tony, I wish you all the luck. I know you're going to do a fabulous job, and I'm very proud of you. Jim Matthers, now you're out. Jim Matthers, the general manager here. I know I have been a challenge to Jim Matthers, to say the least. He has a lot of stories about Bob Ranum. But I have to say, I did enjoy working with you, even though at times it didn't seem that way. I did. And I think what Jim did tonight, and I'm overwhelmed of what Jim put together for me, everything. And I'll tell you, I give him a round of applause for what he did. Rick Hartmann. What can I say? I have to say this. Rick Hartmann is the best pro I've ever seen. Gil, besides you. We are very lucky as a club at Atlantic Golf Club to have Rick Hartmann. He has saved my ass a lot. We would not be having this moment right here if Rick didn't come into my office numerous times and say, I think you were a little bit out of line by telling Mr. Silfen, the president, things you said. I think we have to rethink your direction. Or
Never have a meeting without me.
yeah, and basically, a couple times he left the state. I don't know how he did it. And I would call him, I'd be driving down a hole, and he goes, how's the meeting going with the guys? I said, not good, I just drove off out of the meeting. He goes, what do you mean you drove out of the meeting? I didn't like they were talking, so I just got in the car and drove off. He goes, oh my God, now I have another thing to fix. So I do have to say that, Rick, I don't think I would be standing here without you today. So I want to thank you for that. Listen, I only tell him like I see it. Rick has been an unbelievable friend to me over these years. I've always been very fortunate that I had a great golf pro at Garden City, and I had a great golf pro at Atlantic. Thank you for everything you've done for me. To my family, Guy, what can I say? You put up with more crap from me than anybody could imagine. Times when I'd come in and I was not happy, like the golf cart story you told, and I came in and broke a table in the house and Mr. Morrow had to pay for it. He goes, how did you take that cart thing? And I said, I went in and broke the dining room table. He goes, tell Allison I'll buy her a new one. So the children saw me banging walls, screaming, yelling, throwing things, yelling and stuff. But I'm very proud of my children here today. They've all become very successful. I'm very proud of them, and I'm so happy you guys came. Thank you so much. And we have to end on the best part of this whole thing, my wife, Allison. As we all know, she's really the golf course superintendent. I might think I am, but we all know who really does the day-to-day hard work, and and she loves Atlantic as much as me. She's so dedicated. I watch how much she works, and I'm just amazed on what a wonderful wife I have. Thank you for everything, and I can't wait for our future. Thank you, guys.
It's truly the end of an era. I couldn't have said it better. I'd like to offer a toast, so everybody grab a glass, to Bobby and Allison. May the fairways be firm, your drives be long, and your putts be true. Bob and Allison, this one's for you. Now that Bobby's a member, the bar is open and the drinks are on him.